Micah? No. Eliphaz. In the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, who was the Tetrarch. What? That's some bullshit. Oh, Abilene. Isn't that 40? What was the name? What name did Nathan the prophet call Solomon? Jedidiah? Yeah. In your face, deceiver. Now I have the key to get the last piece of the armor of God, which is probably the sword of God. Which totally should have been the first. Sword of Spirit. You! Dirty! Oh, you bastards. Oh, I guess this is hell. Uh-oh, not purple and green spiders. Satan, I'm gonna quiz you to death. These guys are gonna eat me the fuck alive. Alright, note to self, kill the damn spiders. Alright. It's good to know that I don't jump like a wimp, so if I go to hell, I'll be able to survive. I don't hear people screaming in pits in agony. I just see multicolored spiders and a guy in like a Halloween Adventure Roman soldier costume. That's what I see. And why would the armor of God look like Roman armor? They're the ones who killed Jesus, for crying out loud. How much stomping do you fuckers need? Seriously. Are you done being stomped? Thanks. Okay, here we go. Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani mean? Yeah. Who was the first person to rise from the dead? Apparently it was Jesus, even though Jesus rose people from the dead. Who protected Elisha when the Syrians came after him at Dothan? Horses and chariots of fire. How many books of the Old Testament are named after women? 2. Who was the woman of whom Samson disclosed the secret of his strength? Delilah, obviously. Who asked Pontius Pilate for Jesus' body after the crucifixion? Joseph of Arimathea. He was into necro stuff. What bird did Jesus tell the disciples neither sows nor reaps but is fed by God? Ravens. Although they haven't seen them on highways because they mow through dead squirrel corpses. Well, they're not like they'd be living squirrel corpses, but you know what I mean. Who is the father of James and John? Zebedee. Apparently Zebedee is Zebedee-doo-dah, who carried the 10 tribes of Israel away into captivity. I'm gonna say, King of Assyria. Who told Joseph that he should name Mary's son Jesus? I'm gonna say he's an angel. Who told one of the 2 disciples that heard John the Baptist say, "Behold the Lamb of God"? Let's save. It was Andrew, wasn't it? Yeah. What happened to Saul when Ananias blessed him? Hasn't regained his voice? Regained his sight? Jeez, how many people are they strike blind? You've gained a bonus of 22. Note, that won't kill them. Is that it? Really? terrible. This game sucks. Like, as a religious figure game, it sucks. Like, the gameplay's amusing for like a level or two, but no kid would ever get past the 3rd level. They'd be like, oh, fuck this. I mean, it's honestly, I barely remember any of the questions. If you probably asked me, I'd have to see them in multiple choice, but I couldn't name them outright. Like, like, even if you're into all that stuff and you love like the Bible and whatever, like, I don't think you'd be able to master this game. And this game, like, it's just nonsensical trivia. Like, that's all it is. It's trivia about a single book. Like, honestly, you could make the Mark Twain Adventures instead of this, and then just write in parts of Mark Twain, and it would really be identical. I mean, you could really do this as the Quran game, you know? Like, you could do this as the Bhagavad Gita, if you really wanted to. But, overall, I'd say this game is terrible. As for other Bible games, if I equate it to them, this game is a glorious relief and a gem. It's better than getting killed by squirrels, or running around while people throw spears at you and you throw baby Jesus in the water. Or it's, I mean, pretty much as far as Bible games go, this is probably the least offensive and probably most true to what you, I wouldn't say should be learning of the Bible, but it's not like completely jaded. Like, they don't really cut facts out of it, or only say like like I have expected when the quizzes started not to actually be about the Bible, but to be like, Jesus is blank. And it's like love, respect, anger. Like, that's what I kind of expected. But for them to really go like all out, like, how old was this person? Like, they really, I don't know. It really kind of shows the ridiculousness of that. Like, it just exemplifies ridiculous. Like, we all know that if Adam lived that long, it would be insanity. He would go insane after maybe 100 years. I think they just threw out a number to make it sound magnanimous. Like, most people didn't see past their 30s. Very few saw into their 40s. And that's all because of bad nutrition, disease, murder. Pretty much the world was bent on killing you. Like, even common ailments today, we don't take advantage of the fact that people live longer because we've taken disease way down. We eat mostly like processed or farmed food that's safely and cleanly farmed. Like, just think about it. Like, you know, someone could have put shit on the fields, you know, to fertilize them, and one little fleck of poop happens to grow on a leaf of your food, and then you pick it out, and then you get freaking E. coli from it, and you die. Like, that was commonplace. The reason why people in olden times had so many kids is because they knew that only a certain percentage would survive. So, life expectancy really wasn't high. I mean, it doesn't make sense that, you know, they talked about Greek kings dying of old age in their, you know, mid to late 40s. And you even had, you know, records of death from Roman records, and most people never lived to like 60s and 70s. Some of them were made up, like, oh, wise old scholar who came from nowhere happened to live that long. I mean, you have birth and death records in China that show you how long people live, and a lot of them had better longevity, better health, and better health care, and none of them lived to be 900 goddamn years old. I mean, the oldest person we know is, what, like 130 years old? And he certainly wasn't doing what Moses was doing. And you can't say for a second that, like, oh, like, prayer keeps you alive longer or whatever, because even the most pious people, I mean, come on now, even the Pope dies. So let's just get over ourselves here and say that that's just absolute ridiculousness. So, yeah, quizzing people and stuff like that, and who's the mother of who, and who's the son of who, and who's the friend of who, and who cares? Honestly, these were a bunch of crazy desert nomads who probably weren't real people at any given time. There might be some shred of evidence, maybe a king or a leader that left some sort of mark, but you don't know if that was done in their era or not. So let's just face facts. Like, we're not 100% sure of a lot of things, and that's because the Crusades wiped out most of it and added so much misinformation and falsehood, and scribing names on temples, ancient temples, and considering that, first of all, Jewish people had a lot of tradition of building over their old cities. So there's no way you can really confirm places' origins or names other than like records from like things like 1st century to I think 4th century Palestine. There were all very clear records. We don't know much about the Old World. The Bible is not a concise, accurate measure of the Old World. I mean, once you say that heaven has all these animals flying around and stuff, I don't know, there's all this craziness. Like, I'm just going to put it forward that it's just craziness. And you can feel free to believe it, but it's craziness. I mean, you really have to read the Bible. It's nuts. Like, I know about the 7 beasts and the 7 seals, or the 4 beasts and the 7 seals, and, you know, all the things that happen after, and, like, the small lamb that would be brought before them, and then the trumpeter blows his mighty horn, signaling the apocalypse. You know, all of that stuff is absolutely crazy, and I don't understand how it seemed like every Tom, Dick, and Harry in all that prehistory was having visions of God and having these crazy delusions and were being written about and prophesized, and they had these magnanimous plans of building giant arcs and stuff. And nowadays it's like, you know, God told me to shoot Ronald Reagan. You know, like, in the long run, I think prophecies as a whole has really died off. You know, most people are very cafeteria Christian and don't read it and don't follow the rules of it, and it bothers me. I mean, frankly, I really can't distinguish between reading the Bible and reading the Quran, and the same way it's no different to go to church every Sunday as it is to bow on a carpet every day, 3 times a day or whatever. There really isn't much of a difference. You know, and I don't understand why they're so adamant about killing each other, you know, or, you know, fasting for Passover is the same thing as bowing on a rug, you know, and then it's no different than, you know, the Jews bombing the shit out of innocent villages in the Middle East and claiming Gaza and parts like that as their own, as no different than, you know, terrorists blowing people up on buses, as Christians blowing up abortion clinics. I mean, it's all one big violent sickness. So, that's my opinion, and you're free to have your own. And you can go ahead and flame me or unsubscribe from me if you really want. But if you didn't like this LP and you didn't want to hear it, then you shouldn't have looked at it. Simple as that. But that's just my opinion. But that's all for the Bible game. An absolutely terrible game with subject matter that shouldn't especially be taught to children. With me, Morak Dias. See you later.